Let me ask you a question that might unsettle you. If everything in your life stayed exactly the same for the next 12 months, would you be proud of who you become? Or secretly relieved that no one notices the distance between your dreams and your daily habits? That discomfort you feel right now is not fear, it is awareness waking up. Here's the hook you cannot ignore. The problem is not that you lack talent, time, or opportunity. The real danger is that you are excellent at explaining why tomorrow will be different while repeating today on a perfect loop. Comfort feels safe, but it slowly steals your future without making a sound. Before 2026 arrives, there are things you must improve, and not to impress anyone, but to respect yourself. This is not about adding more pressure. It is about removing the excuses that quietly shape your identity. Because every action you repeat becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Imagine a man who kept saying he wanted to lead. He read books, watched talks, and spoke passionately about vision. But when conflict appeared, he avoided the conversation. When responsibility showed up, he delegated it away. Years later, he wondered why no one trusted him. Nothing was wrong with his words. His behavior simply voted against his intention. The first thing you must improve is clarity of why. Not the motivational poster version, but the reason that still holds when things get uncomfortable. When you know why you do what you do, you gain the courage to say no to distractions that look productive but lead nowhere. Clarity changes how you wake up, how you choose, and how you endure. Without it, discipline feels like punishment. With it, discipline becomes self-respect. This is where growth actually begins. You do not need a dramatic life overhaul today. You need an honest moment. Ask yourself why this matters now, not next year, not someday. Now. Because when your why is clear, your behavior starts to align. And when behavior aligns, the future you want stops being a wish and starts becoming inevitable. This moment is your quiet turning point. No applause, no announcement, just a decision to act differently when it would be easier not to. If you listen closely, you can hear the signal beneath the noise, reminding you that consistency beats intensity, direction beats speed, and small promises kept daily build a life that finally matches your values. That future begins the instant you choose responsibility over comfort today. Stay present, stay honest, and start. Let me challenge you with this thought. If motivation disappeared tomorrow, would your life still move forward? Or would everything you claim to want quietly fall apart? That question matters more than any burst of inspiration you have ever felt. Here is the hard truth. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is what carries you when motivation goes silent. And before 2026 arrives, you must improve your relationship with consistency, not intensity. Intensity impresses people. Consistency changes lives. Think about the person who joins a gym in January, goes every day for 2 weeks, posts photos, talks about transformation, then slowly disappears. They did not fail because they lacked strength. They failed because they trusted excitement instead of systems. Progress does not come from heroic effort. It comes from boring repetition done with purpose. Discipline is not about forcing yourself. It is about designing your life so the right action becomes the easiest action. The strongest people are not the most motivated. They are the most prepared. They remove friction from good habits and add friction to bad ones. I once watched a team struggle with deadlines. Everyone cared. Everyone was talented, yet nothing changed. Then one small rule was introduced. Every commitment had to be written, owned, and reviewed publicly. Suddenly, behavior shifted, not because people became better, but because the system demanded better. Your life works the same way. If your goals rely on willpower, they will eventually fail. Willpower fades when you are tired, stressed, or distracted. Systems do not care how you feel. They simply work when you follow them. Improving discipline means keeping promises, especially the small ones no one sees. When you break promises to yourself, you teach your mind that your word is negotiable. When you keep them, you build trust with yourself. Confidence is not loud. It is built quietly, one kept promise at a time. Before 2026, stop asking how to feel motivated. Ask how to make progress inevitable. Decide the minimum you will do even on your worst days. That minimum, repeated daily, will outperform occasional bursts of greatness. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Improve those systems now, and the future version of you will thank you for choosing consistency over comfort today. This decision will not feel dramatic, but months from now you will notice quieter confidence, stronger habits, and a life that moves forward even when emotions fluctuate, because discipline has replaced motivation as your reliable guide through consistent action daily, without excuses or delay anymore now. Let me confront you with something uncomfortable. When things go wrong in your life, do you look for reasons or do you look for mirrors? That single habit determines whether the next year changes you or repeats you. Here is the truth most people avoid. Blame feels relieving, but responsibility is empowering. Before 2026, you must improve your ability to own outcomes, especially the ones you do not like. Because the moment you blame someone else, you give them control over your future. Think about a woman who says her job is holding her back. Her boss is unfair. The system is broken, the timing is wrong. All of that might be true. But while she waits for circumstances to change, her skills stay the same, her confidence shrinks, and her options narrow. Blame protects her ego, but it robs her of progress. Responsibility does not mean everything is your fault. It means everything is your responsibility to respond to. That shift changes how you move through the world. You stop asking who caused this and start asking what will I do next. There was a leader who lost his team's trust. He blamed culture, pressure, and expectations from above. Nothing improved. Then one day he stood in front of his team and said, "I failed you." Not with drama, not with excuses. Just ownership. That moment did not fix everything, but it opened the door to trust again. Responsibility creates credibility. When you own your role, you gain power. Power to adjust, to learn, to grow. When you avoid ownership, you stay stuck explaining instead of improving. Growth begins the instant excuses end. Improving responsibility also means choosing long-term respect over short-term comfort. It is easier to defend yourself than to reflect. It is easier to justify habits than to change them. But every time you choose honesty over comfort, you strengthen your character. Before 2026, ask yourself a new question when things feel unfair. What part of this can I influence? Even if the answer is small, act on it. Small acts of ownership compound into confidence. The strongest people are not the ones with perfect circumstances. They're the ones who refuse to be passive participants in their own lives. They take responsibility for their actions, reactions, and direction. When you stop blaming and start owning, something powerful happens. You stop waiting to be saved. You become someone others trust because you trust yourself to handle reality as it is. That is how momentum begins. Quietly, honestly. The moment you decide that your future is too important to outsource to excuses anymore. Let me ask you something that cuts deeper than it sounds. When was the last time you told yourself the truth, even when it threatened the image you like to protect? Because growth does not start with confidence. It starts with honesty. Here is the uncomfortable reality. Before 2026, you must improve your ability to face yourself without filters. Not the version you show online, not the version you explain to others, the real one, the one who knows exactly where effort is missing and where excuses are hiding. Most people are not afraid of failure. They are afraid of being exposed. So they stay busy, stay loud, stay distracted. But avoidance does not remove weakness. It only delays the moment it demands attention. I once saw a talented professional who kept missing opportunities. He said he was unlucky. The market was bad. People did not see his value. Then one quiet conversation changed everything. He admitted he avoided feedback because it made him uncomfortable. That single realization hurt, but it unlocked progress. Within a year, his skills improved, his confidence stabilized, and his results followed. Nothing external changed, he did. Self-awareness is not self-criticism, it is self-respect. It is the courage to look at your patterns and say, this part needs work. When you know your blind spots, they stop controlling you from the shadows. Improving self-awareness means listening more than defending. It means noticing how people respond to you, not just what you intend. Impact matters more than intention. Growth happens when you close the gap between the two. This also applies to your inner dialogue. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself under pressure. Do you become harsh, dismissive, or passive? That voice shapes your decisions more than any external advice ever will. Before 2026, create moments of stillness, not to relax, but to reflect. Ask questions that feel slightly uncomfortable. Where am I inconsistent? What feedback keeps repeating? What am I avoiding because it threatens my identity? The people who grow fastest are not the most confident. They're the most curious about their own behavior. Curiosity keeps ego in check. Ego blocks learning. When you practice honest reflection, something powerful happens. You stop being surprised by your results. You start seeing the connection between what you do and what you get. That awareness gives you control. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be aware. Awareness creates choice. Choice creates change. If you want the next year to be different, stop running from the mirror. Stand in front of it. Not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself. Because the moment you see clearly, you finally gain the ability to move forward with intention, courage, and quiet confidence built on truth. Let me push you with a question that reveals more than you expect. When pressure rises, do people feel safe around you, or do they feel managed, corrected, or slowly shut down? Because before 2026, you must improve how you connect with others. Not to be liked, but to be trusted. Here's the truth. Success is never built alone, yet many people sabotage their future by underestimating the power of relationships. They focus on being impressive instead of being reliable. They focus on being right instead of being understood. And over time, opportunities quietly stop coming. Think about the colleague everyone avoids. Highly skilled, incredibly smart, always prepared. But conversations feel heavy. Feedback feels sharp. Intentions may be good, but impact creates distance. Eventually, people stop sharing ideas, stop asking questions, stop taking risks, not because they are weak, but because they do not feel safe. Trust is not built through authority or charisma. It is built through consistency, listening, and empathy. When people feel heard, they give more. When they feel dismissed, they withdraw. This applies at work, at home, and in every relationship you care about. Improving communication does not mean talking more. It means listening with the intent to understand, not to respond. Most conflicts do not come from bad intentions. They come from unmet expectations and unspoken assumptions. When you slow down enough to clarify those, tension dissolves. There was a leader who believed speed was everything. Decisions were fast, meetings were short, results were demanded. Productivity looked high, but morale dropped. Then one habit changed. He started asking one simple question at the end of conversations. What am I missing? That question invited honesty. Over time, trust grew, engagement improved, and performance followed. One question changed the culture. Before 2026, learn to pause before reacting. Emotion is information, not instruction. When you respond instead of react, you show emotional strength. People do not remember every word you say, but they never forget how you made them feel. This also means improving how you handle disagreement. Respect does not require agreement. It requires curiosity. When you replace defensiveness with curiosity, conversations become bridges instead of battles. Your ability to communicate is not a soft skill, it is a leadership skill. It determines how far your ideas travel and how many people are willing to walk with you. If you want stronger results, build stronger relationships, speak with clarity, listen with intention, respond with respect. Because before 2026, the quality of your future will depend heavily on the quality of your connections, and those are built one honest conversation at a time. Let me ask you a question that exposes a hidden weakness. When things slow down, when progress feels invisible, do you stay committed, or do you quietly start searching for something new to excite you? Because before 2026, you must improve your patience with long-term growth. Here is the truth. We live in a world addicted to speed, fast results, fast recognition, fast rewards. But anything meaningful grows slowly, and most people quit not because it is hard, but because it is quiet. They mistake silence for failure. Think about learning a skill. In the beginning, progress feels obvious. Then comes the plateau. Effort stays high, results seem flat, motivation fades. This is where most people stop. Not because the process stopped working, but because their expectations were unrealistic. There was a young entrepreneur who launched a project and saw early attention. Then growth stalled, he panicked. He changed direction, branding, strategy again and again. Each restart felt productive, but nothing compounded. Eventually, he realized the problem was not the idea. It was his impatience. When he committed to staying the course, refining instead of restarting, results finally arrived. Slowly. Then all at once. Patience is not passive. It is active commitment without immediate reward. It is showing up when no one is clapping. It is trusting the process when evidence is delayed. This kind of patience builds resilience, not frustration. Improving patience also means separating effort from outcome. You control effort. You influence direction. You do not control timing. When you tie your self-worth to immediate results, every delay feels personal. When you tie your worth to consistency, delays become part of the journey. Before 2026, learn to play the long game. Ask yourself if the thing you want is worth years, not weeks. If the answer is yes, then impatience has no authority over your decisions. This applies to relationships, careers, health, and personal growth. Trust is built over time. Mastery takes repetition. Confidence grows from experience, not shortcuts. The strongest people are not the fastest. They are the ones who do not quit when progress is invisible. They understand that roots grow before branches and foundations are built underground. If you want a future that lasts, you must become someone who can wait without drifting, work without praise, and believe without constant proof. Stay committed, stay steady, because patience is not waiting for life to happen. It is choosing to keep going until life catches up with the effort you never stopped giving. Let me ask you something that might challenge your pride. When was the last time you admitted you did not know, not as a weakness, but as a starting point? Because before 2026, you must improve your relationship with learning. Here is the truth. The moment you believe you have figured it out is the moment growth quietly stops. The world changes too fast for certainty to be permanent. Skills expire. Assumptions age. What worked before may now be the very thing holding you back. Think about someone who used to be exceptional. They were once ahead of the curve. People sought their advice. Then slowly, without drama, they were overtaken. Not because they became worse, but because they stopped learning. They relied on past success as proof they no longer needed to adapt. Learning is not about collecting information. It is about staying curious when your ego wants comfort. Curiosity keeps you flexible. Ego makes you brittle. And brittle things break under pressure. There was a manager who resisted new ideas. He had experience. He had results. He believed questions challenged his authority. Over time, his team stopped sharing insights. Innovation slowed. Eventually, he realized the cost of always needing to be right. When he began asking questions instead of giving answers, the room changed. People leaned in. Energy returned. Learning reopened the door to relevance. Improving your ability to learn also means seeking feedback without armor. Feedback is not an attack. It is data. You do not have to agree with all of it, but dismissing it guarantees stagnation. The people who grow fastest are not the smartest. They are the most coachable. Before 2026, replace defensiveness with curiosity. When something challenges your belief, pause. Ask what you might be missing. Growth lives in that pause. This also means unlearning, letting go of habits, mindsets, and strategies that once served you but no longer do. Unlearning is harder than learning because it threatens identity, but progress demands it. Learning keeps you humble. Humility keeps you adaptable. Adaptability keeps you relevant. And relevance keeps doors open. You do not need to know everything. You need to stay willing to ask, willing to listen, willing to evolve. The future does not belong to those who are certain. It belongs to those who are curious. If you want the next year to elevate you instead of expose you, commit to learning as a lifelong discipline, not a temporary phase. Stay open. Stay curious. Because the moment you stop learning is the moment you stop leading your own life forward. Let me ask you a question that goes straight to the core. When things feel uncertain, do you chase approval? Or do you stand by your values even when it costs you something? Because before 2026, you must improve your courage to choose integrity over convenience. Here is the truth. Most people do not fail because they are bad. They fail because they compromise too often in small, quiet ways. They say yes when they mean no. They stay silent when something feels wrong. They trade short-term comfort for long-term regret without realizing it in the moment. Integrity is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent with what you claim matters. When your actions and values align, life feels grounded. When they do not, anxiety grows, confidence fades, and self-respect erodes. Think about someone who feels stuck and restless. From the outside, everything looks fine. But inside, there is tension. That tension usually comes from misalignment. They know what matters to them, yet their behavior tells a different story. Over time, that gap becomes exhausting. There was a professional offered a promotion that came with influence and money, but also required cutting corners and pressuring others in ways that felt wrong. Saying yes would have been easy. Saying no was terrifying. He chose no. For months, nothing happened. Then an unexpected opportunity appeared, one that aligned with his values and expanded his impact. Integrity delayed reward, but it protected direction. Improving integrity means deciding who you are before the moment tests you. Values are only useful when they guide behavior under pressure. Otherwise, they are just words. Before 2026, define what you will not compromise. Even when no one is watching, those boundaries create clarity. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence attracts trust. This also applies to how you treat yourself. Integrity includes keeping promises you make privately. If you say you will rest, rest. If you say you will work. Every broken promise weakens your self-trust. Every kept promise strengthens it. Living with integrity may cost you approval, speed, or comfort, but it gives you something far more valuable: inner stability. You stop negotiating with yourself. You move with fewer regrets. The strongest leaders are not the loudest. They are the most consistent. People trust what is predictable, and integrity makes you predictable in the best way. If you want the next year to feel solid instead of scattered, stop asking what is easiest and start asking what is right. That question simplifies decisions and sharpens direction. Stand by your values, even when it is uncomfortable, especially when it is uncomfortable. Because integrity is not just about doing the right thing. It is about becoming someone you respect when the room is empty and the choice is yours alone. Let me ask you something that may quietly expose a pattern. When your energy drops, when life feels heavy, do you slow down with intention, or do you push until resentment and burnout take over? Because before 2026, you must improve how you manage your energy, not just your time. Here is the truth. Time is fixed. Energy is flexible. Most people plan their schedules but ignore their capacity. They fill every hour, say yes to everything, and then wonder why passion disappears. Burnout is not caused by working too hard. It is caused by working without meaning, recovery, or boundaries. Think about someone who used to feel driven. They once woke up with purpose. Now they feel tired before the day begins. They blame age pressure or responsibility. But the real issue is imbalance. They give constantly and recover rarely. Over time, even meaningful work becomes draining when rest is treated as a reward instead of a requirement. There was a high performer who prided himself on endurance, long hours, late nights, always available. At first, results looked impressive. Then mistakes increased, patience thinned, creativity vanished. Only when he was forced to stop did he realize something important. Rest was not weakness, it was maintenance. Once he learned to protect his energy, his performance stabilized and his clarity returned. Improving energy management means understanding your rhythms. When are you most focused? When do you need recovery? Ignoring these signals does not make you stronger, it makes you brittle. Before 2026, stop glorifying exhaustion. Being busy is not the same as being effective. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. It is what makes productivity sustainable. This also means learning to say no without guilt. Every yes costs energy. If you say yes to everything, you eventually say no to yourself. Boundaries are not selfish, they are strategic. Energy is also emotional. Pay attention to what drains you and what restores you. Some conversations energize you, others quietly exhaust you. Some goals excite you, others feel heavy because they are no longer aligned. Awareness allows adjustment. The strongest people are not the ones who never get tired. They are the ones who know how to recover before damage is done. They build margins into their lives so pressure does not crush them. If you want the next year to be powerful, protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. When your energy is steady, your decisions improve. When your decisions improve, your direction sharpens. You do not need to do more. You need to do what matters with energy that lasts. Learn to pause. Learn to recover. Learn to respect your limits. Because sustainable growth does not come from burning brighter. It comes from burning longer with intention, balance, and strength you can rely on every single day ahead. Let me leave you with one final question. The kind that lingers long after the video ends. If someone studied your daily choices, not your intentions, not your words, but your actions, would they clearly see the future you say you want? Because before 2026, the most important thing you must improve is alignment between who you are and who you are becoming. Here is the truth that brings everything together. Change does not happen in moments of inspiration. It happens in moments of decision. Small decisions, repeated decisions, invisible decisions, the ones no one applauds and no one posts about. Those decisions shape identity. Most people wait for confidence before they act. But confidence is a result, not a requirement. You do not become confident and then take responsibility. You take responsibility and confidence follows. You do not wait to feel ready. You act, and readiness is built through experience. Think about the person you admire most. They are not perfect, they are not fearless, but they are consistent. Their behavior matches their values often enough that trust forms, both in others and in themselves. That trust becomes momentum. Alignment means your habits support your goals, your environment supports your habits, your values guide your choices. When these are out of sync, life feels exhausting. When they align, life feels demanding but meaningful. Before 2026, stop negotiating with the future version of yourself. Stop saying later, someday, or after things calm down. The future is built by what you repeat today. Every shortcut teaches you who you are willing to be. Every standard you keep teaches you who you are becoming. This is not about pressure. It is about ownership. You already have everything you need to start acting differently. Not perfectly, intentionally. Direction matters more than speed. Consistency matters more than intensity. You may not see immediate results. That is normal. Progress often whispers before it speaks. But if you stay aligned, if you keep choosing actions that match your values, the evidence will eventually arrive. 1 year from now, you will not remember most days, but you will live with the outcome of what you practiced. You will live with the strength you built or the regret you avoided. So here is the decision. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, choose one behavior that aligns with the person you want to be. Protect it, repeat it. Because the real transformation is not dramatic, it is quiet, it is earned. And it belongs to those who stop waiting for permission and start acting with intention. If you carry anything forward from this moment, let it be this. You do not need more motivation, you need alignment. When your actions match your values, the future takes care of itself. This is where it begins. Stay consistent, stay honest, stay aligned, and let the next chapter be built by choices you are proud to repeat.